Alrighty, thank you everyone for being here. My name is Mary O'Reilly, and I am one of the college career and financial aid advisors at one of the high schools in our district. Um, we are so happy to have two wonderful representatives from two amazing colleges here tonight to discuss a really great pathway, an important pathway, and one that many of our students are interested in. And so. Before we begin, I want to let everyone know we will have a Q&A box going. So if you want to pop in some questions during the webinar that you would like us to answer, I will try my best to answer it. If not, we'll have time at the end for our guests to answer some questions. So I am going to pass it over first to Melinda Wynn from the College of San Mateo, who's going to start us off with this webinar. Melinda, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Good evening, everybody. My name is Melinda Wynn. I am director of the College of San Mateo Nursing Program. We are located in San Mateo, so we are your neighbors, very close by. So our website is pretty robust. Let me show you how to get there. You go to good old Google and you put in CSM Nursing. We are the first hit right there. So depending on how big your screen is, if you control plus it a little bit, it might look a little different. So when you come to our overview page, there are four main sections: future students, future faculty, and current faculty. Another thing you'll notice on our overview page is we have this professionally made video of Glenn Villamore. He was one of our nursing students. So if you want to see how our skills lab looks like, if you want to see how our campus looks like, that would be a great video to check out. Before I get too deep into it, I want to make sure you know how to contact us. You can click that right there, and you'll be able to see our information for our nursing office and for me. So another way to get help is if you go to Future Nursing. There are three ways where you could get more information. One, you can attend a Q&A session with me. You can also email one of our CSM nursing ambassadors, or you can email our administrative assistant, or you can give her a call. But I do have one request. And that one request is before you call us or before you come to a Q&A session or before you email anyone, take a look at our website because many of your answers might be found here on the website. And it's always nice to see it in black and white. So our nursing program has been around since 1963, and we have just done some amazing work over the last decades. One of the most exciting things is that we just got AC and nationally accredited in the fall. So we've been working on that for the last few years and it has finally come to fruition. So what it means to be nationally accredited is that there's this bar that the California Board of Registered Nursing asks us to be, and then there's a higher bar to be nationally accredited to meet those national standards. So by us being accredited, that means we've kind of gone above and beyond. One thing that you guys might want to know, is how much does it cost? Okay, that's kind of a good thing. So if you live out of San Mateo County, the program will probably cost you about $10,000 for the whole 2 years. We charge $46 per unit if you don't live in San Mateo County. One exciting thing that our district has been piloting is called SMCC. Actually, we have one more C. SMCC-CD Free College. So it was a pilot to provide free tuition for those who live in San Mateo County. And recently, my understanding is that it's become permanent. So level one covers the $46 per unit enrollment fee. So there's probably some other little fees, like I don't know what else they have, but little fees. But this covers the big $46 a unit. So we have frequently asked questions. The program degree that we provide is a nursing associate degree in science. And after you get your associate in science degree, you can continue on. We have a partnership relationship with three other colleges. Let me show you. If you go to future students and scroll down, there are three buttons here that you can press. So for Cal State East Bay, you finish 2 years with us, and then you go to them for either 1 year full-time or 2 years part-time, and then you'll earn your bachelor's in nursing degree. For Ohio University, you can start Ohio online classes while you are going to school with us, or you can wait until you finish our nursing program and then join them online. The third option, which is the most popular at our school, is the what we call the concurrent program with SF State University. How this works is, let's say you finish high school and then you come to CSM or Cañada or Skyline or whoever, and you get your prerequisites done. There are 10 courses that are required to be finished before you even apply to our nursing program. So you apply to our program, get accepted to our program, start our first semester, and then apply to SF State. And then you take courses concurrently. You take CSM courses and you take SF State courses. And then one semester after you finish CSM, you have your bachelor's in nursing. I would like to share the most complicated part of our application process. Right now, the application cycle is closed, but we usually open our cycle December 1st to February 1st. I want to show you the most complicated part of our application process. You can watch videos here, step 1 to 7. Here's the most complicated part. It's called the prerequisite evaluation form. So there are 10 prereqs that need to be done before applying to the program. And there's 3 scenarios. If you take all of the 10 prerequisites in the San Mateo Community College District, you're in scenario 1. You don't need to fill out this form. It's not a problem. So if you take all your prereqs at the SMCCD CD district, you're in scenario 1. You do not need to complete this form. So if you take your prerequisites outside of SMCCD, but inside California at a community college, a state college, or UC, you're in scenario 2. So you would need to go to this articulation grid. So let's say you decide to, okay, so if you take your 10 prereqs at the San Mateo Community College District, these are the 10 classes that you'll need to take before applying to the program. Let's say you decide to go to Allen Hancock College for a couple years to do your prereqs. That is totally okay. But when you go to Allen Hancock College, you make sure you take these classes. Do not deviate. Take these classes at Allen Hancock, and they will be equivalent. So if you take all 10 of these classes here, you fall in scenario 10. You do not need to complete this form. Now, let's say you decide to go out of state, or you go to Allen Hancock and you don't take Bio 128. Let's say you take Bio 127 and you look at it and you're like, well, Bio 127 is microbiology and I think it should count. So then what you would do is you would fill out this form. You would put Bio 127 here and the college, Allen Hancock, right here. And you would also provide a course description, and a filled out form, and you would email it to one of our counselors so that she could approve it. And that is the most complicated part of our application process. You would need to have this signed by Marcia, and then you yourself would need to submit it when you submit your documents. I think that's a good place to stop and maybe take some Q&A. I would love to make this a little more interactive.
Thank you, Melinda. We do have a question here. So the first question is, how many applicants apply for the nursing program either this year or in previous years?
We get anywhere from 250 to 500 applicants every year, and we can accept 50. We can accept 50 students every year in August.
Awesome. Someone else said, do you start this program after high school? Is that typically the way it goes?
Yeah, that is a common question that we get. So, before starting the nursing program, you'll have to complete all 10 prerequisites to even apply to our nursing program. So, we're saying you graduate high school. Let's say you graduate in 2026 in May. You really work really hard and you complete your prereqs. Let me show you something really cool that I think everybody should know. What is it called? Oh, this is good. It is so good. I really want to put this in our chat box. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do that. Let's see.
Yes, we got it, Melinda. Thank you. It was sent in
Thank
the
you.
chat. Mhm.
So if you're like exploring, this is a great place to explore. Let's go to science and engineering. And let's go to biology pre-nursing right here. So this lays out a plan of what you can take so that you can complete all 10 prerequisites and at the end get an Associate of Science in biology. One thing you'll want to notice, and I've told them that this needs to be changed, but they haven't changed it yet. Our application cycle opens in December 1st and closes February 1st. So these two classes need to be done by December. So if you do it in spring, you're going to have to wait another year before applying again. So if I were a student, I would do these during the summer or earlier on in the process. So how it would look like is you graduate in May 2026, you come and you take these courses for 2 years, and then you would apply here at the end of fall term. In spring, you would do your GEs kind of classes. And then if you get admitted to the program, you would start in the fall. So 2 years of prereqs, 2 years of the nursing program, and one more semester for your bachelor's in nursing. Dimes on the dollar. And a great program. We have a great program. Another thing that you'll want to do as you research nursing programs is you go to BRN, which stands for Board of Registered Nursing, and then you look up NCLEX pass rate. And then you'll want to compare because you want to go to a school that has a relatively high NCLEX pass rate because you don't want to spend 2 years at a nursing program and then fail your NCLEX. Another thing that you'll want to Google is BRN, California retention. You want to know how many schools get kicked out, or how many students get dismissed from the program?
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Burtness. I'm the College Career and Financial Aid Advisor at Hillsdale High School. Thank you all so much for joining us. We've got a couple other questions that have come in. Typically, do students start the first 2 years right after high school, right? Covering those 10 prerequisites. Can you go over maybe a few of those prerequisites, sort of in general, like for bio that includes anatomy, psych, etc.?
Oh, Laura, thank you so much. I'm going to show you something in addition to that. Merit-based criteria handout. This is the golden nugget. This is the golden nugget. This is how you get points. The higher the points you can gather, the more likely you'll get accepted into the nursing program. There are three bio prerequisites: anatomy, micro, and physio, and they are worth a lot of points. If you really want to become a nurse, try to get A's in all three of these courses. Make sure that you have a face-to-face lab. There are also 7 non-bio prerequisites, including things like stats, English, general psych, health, chemistry. So one thing to notice when you create your plan with your counselor is that there are prerequisites to some courses. For example, in order to take 420, Chem 420, which is a requirement, you have to take 410. And then you could see the black line showing the prerequisite need. And then to take Bio 260, you have to have taken 250. Is
There's
that good,
a,
Laura?
yeah, no, I think that was great. What do you think, Laura?
Yeah, I think that really covers it.
Perfect.
So kids can start taking some of these classes in high school, for example, like the psychology course or the sociology course, which don't have prerequisites. But in general, these are college level courses, especially the biology and anatomy. And AP, can you talk a little bit about, like, if a kid takes AP bio or AP chem, how does that impact? Do they still need to take those other classes, the anatomy and the biology?
So if they took an AP class and scored 3 or higher, then they don't need to take it again in college. 3 points will earn them a C grade, 4 points will earn a B grade, 5 points will earn an A grade. And then you'll have to get approval through Marcia, our counselor, through this prereq eval form.
I have another, I think, great question here. And exact numbers are not okay, or is okay if you don't have those, Melinda. But like, what is like the starting like wage after you finish nursing school? Once you start, becoming a nurse, let's just say in California.
It's wild. Um, 6 digits, easy. Um, Salary, California, no, Bay Area. Now, no, before we talk about this, I have to put a little disclaimer, Mary and Laura. Um, and Carlos probably can agree too. Getting into nursing school is hard. Staying in nursing school is hard. Finding a nursing job in the Bay Area is hard. It is a uphill climb. Everyone hears about this nursing shortage. Not in the Bay Area. We have good weather and we pay well, right? So if you're thinking about this, you have to really be somber. Like you may need to move to Texas for a couple of years to get some experience. You might have to work really hard in the Bay Area as a CNA or LVN or something like that, or in a skilled nursing facility before you get your dream job. It's going to take some time. So I'm not even going to Google it because we're not in for the money.
Yeah,
Money's
sure.
good, but we're here to help the people. And it's
Absolutely.
hard. It's hard work.
Absolutely. Another great question, a few questions here just about transferring. Let's say if you took classes at CSM, can those prereqs be transferred over to any, let's say CSU or maybe another nursing program?
Ah, um, that I don't know. It would depend on the college ex receiving you. I suppose. For us, we have this articulation grid, so we happily take people from other who take courses in other places, and I assume the same is true for them. But every nursing program has different requirements, so my recommendation is to do your homework and be very organized with your data.
Let's see, Laura, do we see any other questions
You know what? There
before?
is a really interesting question in the chat. How is AI impacting nursing? And that's a question for either of you.
Carlos, we haven't heard from you. Do you want to chime in?
Hello. I will say, at least on the admission side, um, I guess I'm not sure if the question means, do we use AI in terms of the review process? Not necessarily. So, being a small school, we do get a lot of applicants. And at least at our school, the amount we take varies per year. So last year we took, I believe, 90. The year before was less 80. So with that said, we still review each applicant individually. It goes through multiple reviews. So at least we're not really using AI in our review process at all. It's really just sort of the admissions team going through each application very thoroughly, right? Letter of recommendation, personal statement, transcripts. Did I say letter of recommendation? I probably did. And things like that. But I would say, yeah, almost no AI, at least in the admission side or in classes. I don't think they use too much AI within their classes in clinics and lab work. It's really not that sort of style here.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
at the
I
College of
think,
San Mateo,
yeah, I think they meant within the career.
At the College of San Mateo, for our curriculum, we are in talks and we are in transitions. So instead of papers, we might do presentations or one-on-one interviews, which is even worse because you're like sweating and you're answering right away. In terms of AI in the career, nothing can replace bedside quality nursing. Nurses will not be AI'd out of our jobs. Maybe in the higher aspects, maybe in management or in academia, maybe there's some AI usage, but bedside nursing is bedside nursing. That
Yeah,
we're
and just to
okay.
add for me, so I have seen AI, I guess, in nursing. Really, it's only been, at least for my experience that I've seen, is for that first visit, right? That inquiry. So when you're speaking with the nurse or the doctor, a lot of that gets sort of transcribed and recorded. And so then that goes into the systems, the CRM you're using. So whenever you do reach out to that patient, you have everything because AI did it, right? AI records what you talked about. So then it follows up and says, hey, you mentioned this, you mentioned this, you mentioned this. So next time they come in, we need to have this prepared, we need to have this prepared, we need to have this prepared. It essentially, I've seen AI being used just to take out some of the grunt work, so to speak, right? Having to take the notes, having to retype it, having to sort of summarize it. AI takes that role. I used to work for Microsoft, and so I remember we rolled that out for a few hospitals in Dallas that used to take the transcriptions, summarize, and then AI analysis.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you both. Carlos, why don't we hear from you? Carlos Rodriguez is from Dominican College of California, and he's here to talk a little bit about the uh, nursing program they have, which is a little different from CSM's. So, Carlos, take it away. We're glad to have you.
I'm sorry, I'm going to step out, but it was a pleasure to speak with you all. I wish you all the best. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you. All right, let me share my screen and then let me know if, let's see. Let me know. I'll close this and the slideshow. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, good to go.
Perfect. All right, let me see. Oops. So my name is Carlos. I am the Assistant Director of Undergraduate Admissions here at Dominican University in San Rafael. So we're in San Rafael, we're in Marin County. We're actually the only university in Marin County. We do have a community college, but in terms of a four-year institution, public or private, it is just us in Marin. And I personally love Marin. It's a great area. There's a lot of potential here for our nursing students. Of course, we don't just work here in Marin in terms of the internships, externships, but here in Marin we do have it very nice. So again, my name is Carlos, Assistant Director of Undergraduate Admissions. That's my email, that's my phone number. If you have any questions at all, I'm more than happy to help. But we do have other counselors here. I myself speak Spanish, so if anybody or anybody's parents, guardians would prefer a meeting and speak to me in Spanish, I'm also more than happy to do that. We do Zoom appointments, phone appointments, in-person appointments, anything like that, we're here to help. Let's see. And also let me know if there's any questions I can pause. I did want to just start with a video. We tried the audio, so it should work. I'm gonna just start it right now.
I've always been interested with the human body and how it works and that kind of medical side of it. And I think it's very important to learn how to connect with people. So the combination of the two is nursing. Understanding and being able to create a connection with patients and their families. I think that's the biggest thing that makes this career worth it for me. I chose to come to Dominican because it's a straight out of high school program and we get to start our clinical experience in sophomore year. So we're kind of like a year or a semester ahead of some of the other schools and programs. We also don't have to take any extra tests and get picked out of a smaller pool of students. Once we're in, we're in. And I really appreciate that because you can focus on your studies more. You just go straight from pre-nursing to nursing as long as you have your grades.
So Dominican is special in the way that it's a small program and the students get very individualized attention from the professors. We place them in different clinicals around the Bay Area and they get the didactic information in the classroom and then they get to experience it out in the real world.
The most memorable clinical experience that I had was my labor and delivery clinical. It really solidified my passion for labor and delivery because you're with the patient and their family during a really important moment in their life, and that is really special for me to be a part of that. I enjoyed my psych unit at SF General. I really enjoyed my pediatrics unit at the Children's Hospital. That's what I love about nursing is that I can do anything with my BSN.
Let's see. Oh, perfect. Let's go to the next slide. Here we are. So hope you can still hear me. What exactly is the nursing program? So at Dominican University, we do take transfer students. So if you graduated and maybe you weren't thinking of nursing during high school, that's not a problem. We do take transfer students. And just like Melinda, there are prerequisites that you would take: anatomy, physiology, psychology. It's about 6 for us, and that includes those courses plus 2 English and a public speaking class. So sometimes students have those 6, get them really quick. For example, let's say you took an AP course, AP psychology, and you got a 4 or a 5, that would speed up the process, right? That means you already took a prerequisite. Same with, let's say you went to community college and took intro to sociology while you're in high school, or intro to anthropology. Those courses would count already, so it speeds you up. But I do want to focus more on the high school side, just because we take quite a bit more students in high school. And technically, really what makes us special is that we are a direct entry nursing university. So let me know if you see that. So really how it works is first year students begin with about 2 to 3 semesters of prerequisite work, depending on how fast you move through it, and then 6 semesters of nursing. So here, sophomore year is when you really start digging into the nursing, whereas other schools, it doesn't happen until junior year because of how they're structured. So I'll move forward. Let's see. Where is it? So here, this is kind of really kind of where we specialize. So there's a direct entry and there's pre-nursing. Now, most schools are pre-nursing, which is the pathway. So how it works is you apply to a certain school, you got in as a pre-nursing student. However, you technically have to apply again to the nursing program, right? So there's a smaller pool. So if you have, let's say, 200 nursing students, pre-nursing, not all of the 200, unfortunately, make the cut in pre-nursing, even passing prerequisite courses and things like that. It's just a reapplication, right? So you have to reapply to the nursing department at that university, even while you're there. We're direct entry, which means we create the seats for high school students directly. So if you were accepted out of high school, that spot is yours. There's no reapplication at all whatsoever. However, the only thing is you obviously do have to pass your courses, and nursing courses have to be passed with at least a C plus. So really, you're only competing against yourself. As soon as you get in out of high school, that is your spot guaranteed. In 4 years, you will graduate. And so really, that's kind of a highlight for us. That's why we've gotten a few more applicants in the last few years, and also why we're getting a little more competitive. But I think it's worth it because, and I'll get to it, but it is free to apply. So you apply out of high school, totally free. You get in, that spot is yours without a question. It's just up to you to now pass your classes. And with that, you start your nursing courses earlier. You start them here at sophomore year, and you also start your clinics and hospital work your sophomore year because you're not reapplying. We don't have to sort of waste that time. You're into the program, you get a third year of hands-on work. By the time you graduate, a lot of our students feel very, very, very confident, and they're eager to start working. Let me know if you have questions. I can't really see, but feel free to just cut me off. So types of nursing. Obviously, there are many more types of nursing, but these are sort of the specialties here at our school. I can't guarantee that every student gets to pick, gets to do their exact favorite one, right? Not everybody can do pediatric. That's one of our favorite ones, right? But there's geriatric, medical surgery, surgical nursing, which is the biggest one, right? So there are different avenues, there are different specialties. How it works is you speak with your advisor, you do some surveys, you do a list and you pick your favorites. And they'll try to put you into the one that you would prefer. Same with hospitals. We're in Marin County, and I'll get to that as well, but we don't just work in Marin County. You might be placed elsewhere. But again, just looking at it, right? We have geriatric nursing for older adults, maternity, labor, and delivery. I think you maybe heard that one of the students in the nursing video, she specialized in sort of labor and delivery during her internship. So that was her specialty, but again, it might be other ones. Same with, let me move to the next. If you have any questions, I can absolutely go back as well. Just wanted to kind of show this. So the NCLEX exam, kind of what Melinda mentioned, it's the state examination, right? It's one thing to pass your classes and graduate. We want to make sure that you pass your NCLEX. And how it works at our school, if you're struggling with a certain course or a certain category, let's say pharmacology, then we'll make sure to put you back into those courses so that you can sort of study up and prepare again for the NCLEX. So you'll take some placement exams to prepare for the actual exam. On top of that, our program is 4 years. We do have a 4.5-year cohort. How it's chosen between the two, it's a little random. I couldn't tell you how some students get into the 4 and a 4.5. But what I can tell you is that if you're struggling a little in the 4-year program, they'll put you in the 4.5. So it's kind of a way to slow things down. You take less classes per semester, and it gives you a chance to sort of just study a little better and focus on those smaller classes or those less classes, and then you eventually do graduate. Any questions? No worries. I'll just keep moving forward. Feel free to just.
We've got a few. Can you talk a little bit about like what can high school students do right now, while they're in high school to make themselves a little bit more competitive if they would like to apply to a direct entry program like Dominican College of California?
Absolutely.
Are there particular APs? And then like are there certain internships or volunteering and what if a student really can't do that? Maybe they work. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So I will say Dominican does very well in reviewing your application holistically. So yes, right, there are some students who not only have great grades, they volunteer at a Kaiser, let's say, they do volunteer work. But some students are full-time student athletes, right? They maybe don't work at, Kaiser. They haven't gotten that much work in the pre-medicine or medicine, but they're full-time, student athletes, maybe thinking of Division I, Division II. And like you said as well, there are some students who have to take care of their families. So they also don't have time for maybe volunteer work or internships. depending on exactly where you fit or where you see yourself, we take students from all these avenues because we understand that life is different for everybody. And while yes, it can help to, have volunteer work and work in medicine, and that can give you a leg up, it really isn't the end all. We take everything into account, transcripts. I can tell you here, letters of recommendation mean quite a bit. So again, it's great to get maybe a letter of recommendation from your Spanish teacher that can help as well. But let's say you got it from your biology teacher, or you do volunteer at a clinic and you get it from there. So there are different things that help. Same with personal essays. The personal essay means quite a bit here. So it used to be that one letter of rec was the minimum. It still is, but students are sending 2 to 3. So feel free to get it from different avenues. Your boss, somebody you know that works in healthcare, a counselor, a teacher. So at least for us, I will say it's very holistically. So there's a lot of different ways to get into the program. But I will say, obviously, what really does help as well is a GPA. The minimum GPA to apply and sort of just pass the barrier is a 3.5. So a 3.5 for us is the minimum to sort of move forward.
Hillsdale I've had multiple students go to Dominican College of California, and they've all become nurses. And you know what? One of them did not have any sort of outside healthcare. She didn't volunteer. She didn't work at, a nursing home or anything, but she did have a family member who had significant health challenges. And she wrote about it very eloquently. And she talked about specifically what she did with this family member. And that was something that quote unquote counts because you've got experience.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, exactly. So I know some students who, right, they have family members going through things with disabilities, and so that absolutely does help as well. I will say sometimes students, it's funny when I speak with students, they think of, their resume and their application, it needs to be one page and very tight, like you're applying to a job. Here, your resume can be 2 to 3 pages. Put everything that you think will help. Family, you take care of your family, you work part-time, student athlete, everything helps. So feel free to put that, but yes, you're absolutely right.
You know what? A student just asked before you jump into your next, about how many apply to the Dominican nursing program each year, and how many are accepted each year?
So each year for us, it does vary. How it works for us is the nursing department tells us how many to take. So last year we took 90. I believe the year before we took 80. And then the year before that, before I started, I think they took 100. And it just varies in terms of how many they can seat and sort of the capacity. For example, we would love to have 500 nursing students, but we want to make sure every nursing student actually gets placed in a clinic or a hospital, right? And so those partnerships can sometimes limit the amount of students, but roughly it's always at least 80.
So obviously it would depend how many students applied. So if 100 students applied, but 80 were accepted, then that would be a pretty high rate of acceptance, but it's probably not that high.
No, so we get a lot of nursing students. So I'm going to say 700 apply for those 90 spots.
Okay, so you can do the math, people.
And then again, really quickly, I know sometimes it seems like that's a hard number to get into, right? It seems hard, but it's free to apply. And again, if you get in, you are in. There's no pre-nursing, there's no reapplication, there's no fee whatsoever. So I think that's why we get a lot of students applying, because at least for us, we see it as it's worth a shot, right? It's free to apply and you might get it. So I definitely recommend applying. Right. I can move forward to the next one. Right here, right? So careers and opportunities, kind of like Melinda mentioned, it can be a little difficult to get work in the Bay Area, but the Bay Area does have some of the highest salaries for that. I also mentioned that a lot of our students don't just work in Marin for their internships, preceptorships, externships. They're all over Sacramento. They're in the East Bay in Berkeley or Oakland. They're in the South Bay in San Jose. So we have partnerships all over the Bay Area. Obviously, we do have some here in Marin, but you might be placed anywhere. And there's also, you will speak with your advisor and do some surveys and sort of, I guess, what's the word? you'll get to at least prioritize certain ones and on that survey, and you hope you get to your top one. But if not, you do the second one or the third one and you get placed. But all of our students are placed. And then another good thing is we have a lot of alum already at these hospitals and clinics. So if you start there, chances of you meeting a Dominican nursing alum is really, really high. So you'll see a lot. It happens to our students all the time. They come back and they tell us that they're working with other Dominican graduates. And so you see, we have partnerships with Kaiser, Sutter, Marin Health, where we're at, but it goes all over the Bay Area. And then again, right, we do clinics and hospitals. So depending on where you get placed, it's not just one type of environment. You will work in different environments, which again helps, I think, just get an idea of what the world of nursing and healthcare is like. Because again, there's different positions in different departments, in different buildings. And so it gives a good idea. Any questions? I can move on to the next.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
yet.
Gotcha. So again, kind of what you can do in high school, right? I know we sort of talked about it. Recommended courses, right? These are usually the standards. 2 years of a foreign language, biology and chemistry are recommended, but again, they're technically not required. Algebra, geometry, if available, 4 years of English, and then again, college prep work. If you've taken some college work, that does look nice, right? It looks like you've obviously sort of tested yourself. So it's not just high school courses, it's college courses. And then again, above all, it is sort of a strong GPA. And again, here, right, we talked about some experience. It does help if you have healthcare experience, but it's not the end all be all, but it does help. But again, you can participate in health-related activities. So if there's other forms, for example, some students in high school, when they're thinking of, they're playing sports and they're really into kinesiology and they're doing some internships in that realm, that totally helps. So if you're an athlete and you have some experience with kinesiology work at internships, that also looks really nice. A lot of our students also consider doing it like a CNA, if available. So another avenue. And then the other things that go into it is, again, a strong personal statement, a great letter of recommendation. One is required, but now students are sending 2 to 3. And then just the application deadlines and required material. So for us, really, again, the only thing you need as a nursing student are your unofficial transcripts. We only need official if you've gotten accepted and if we have to confirm. But aside from that, unofficial transcripts, letter of recommendation, a personal statement, and then our deadline is also February 1st. It's February 1st every year. It has been for, I think, the last 10 years. And so we open it up in November. So let's say you're a senior next year and it's November, you can start applying and you have till February. So, winter break comes, it's January. Now you have a month until February 1st to apply. So you'll have some time. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. We send a lot of information as well. So if you're missing a material, we'll say, hey, we haven't got your official transcripts. Please send them in. So you'll get a lot of emails notifying you where you're at in the application process. I do want to say, February 1st is a hard deadline. Sometimes students come up to us February 2nd, February 3rd, and at least from our supervisors, we cannot accept them. So February 1st is a hard deadline. Again, let me know if there's any questions. I do want to sort of just show you what the pre-nursing course load might look like. So this is your standard 4-year course, right? These are your classes that you might take. This is sort of a sample. So your first year, you're of course going to take some science, right? You're going to take anatomy right there. You're going to take some chemistry, but then you're going to see courses called like EC, Effective Communication 1, Effective Communication 2, Artistic and Creative Expression. So that first year is of course some science to get ready for nursing, but we do want the other courses as well to sort of just give you a nice rounded college experience. So EC1 and EC2, that's essentially English. So 2 English writing courses and public speaking. Artistic and creative expression is an art class, whether it's music, photography, we do podcasting, you'll get to pick. So there's different ones. Same with civic knowledge and engagement. That's usually a political science course, a history course. Things like that are your first year. Now, your sophomore year is where it basically turns into all nursing, and that includes your clinics. So, right, you'll see pathophysiology, pharmacology, microbiology, nutrition for disease, statistics for health. So at sophomore year, you're really hitting the ground running, and then you're going to do your clinics. Clinics do start your second semester of sophomore year. So that first semester, we still want to give you time, right, to take those, to get sort of acclimated to the new sort of classes. But by second semester, sophomore year, you're starting the clinics, and that goes junior year and senior year. And at the bottom, you'll notice the total units. It's 124 total units to graduate. You'll see here, each semester, you're roughly taking 16 units, so you're a full-time student. And so how it works too is your academic advisor, we have one academic advisor, her name is Nancy. She meets with you every semester. We talk about the classes you're going to take, what classes you're going to take next, where you're at, what you're interested in. And it's very helpful. Being a small university with nursing as our sort of emphasis, our academic advisors do a lot to help and make sure you just stay on track, stay focused, have people to talk to, and make sure that you graduate on time and that you pass your NCLEX. And so it looks like this. It's going to roughly look like this. Obviously, the courses might change a little bit, but this is really kind of what you should expect for your 4 years here. Some might do 4.5, but that's totally fine. You do, of course, graduate, which is the goal, and pass your NCLEX.
Can you talk, Carlos, a little bit about what the cost of the 4-year program at Dominican might be?
Yes, I can. And let me move right here. So I'll move to this. At least this year, sort of the approximate number for tuition, not including room and board, just tuition, right? Just registering in classes and taking your classes, it's roughly 52,000, 53,000 per year. But every student, especially nursing students, qualify for our nursing merit scholarships. So I will say, right, there's different levels here, 3.2, 3.0, 2.6. But for nursing, the minimum is a 3.5. So that means at minimum, you have to have a 3.5, which means for nursing, you get about 19,000. For a 3.85, you get about 22. So let's just use the $52,000 number. Tuition is 52,000 this year. You have a 3.85. We subtract 22 from 52. So we're at what's that? 42, 32, you're at $30,000. And so I like to think of it that way. So with that, that's the next number, right? You're at that 30K mark, around that 30K mark. And then that's where financial aid and other forms of scholarship kick in. But we do try to guarantee these numbers. And how we come up with these numbers is we try to give you the highest grade. So let's say you apply today and you have a 3.84. That means you get this one. But then let's say 6 months from now, you graduate high school and you were able to boost it up to a 3.85. You let us know and we'll give you this 22,000. On the flip side, we're not going to take money away. If you applied and you had a 3.85 and it drops to a 3.83, you're still keeping the 22. So essentially, we're always going to give you the highest level we can to help, of course, because we understand that nursing school is already expensive without room and board, which is approximately 14,000 on top of that. But we'll try to give you these nursing scholarships every year. Another thing I should mention is this has a capacity of 4 years, but I did mention 4.5 nursing students. So nursing students in 4.5 get an extra year, right? If you need that extra year, if you get put in, then you'll also qualify for that extra year of merit scholarship. It's just sometimes students think that that last semester is going to be fully on them. No, that will still help you out. Any
Carlos,
questions?
we
Go
have
ahead.
we do have a question in the chat. In your experience with the nursing students who go to Dominican, it's a very intense program, right? But do students still maybe work when they're attending nursing school? Maybe they're playing a sport in college. Can people still do kind of both?
You know what? So great question. For me, yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, for example, I work in the Office of Admissions with a lot of students, right? We have student ambassadors. They work downstairs, they do tours, they meet with families, they speak with families, they transfer student parents to us. A lot of our students in the ambassador group are nursing students. And so nursing students work on campus, they take classes. I also know of some nursing students who who work another job, right? I think one student also works at Nordstrom. And some are student athletes, right? So I will say, again, because nursing is our focus, we have great academic advisors and faculty. Um, you find ways to take your classes, do well, but there's plenty of time to do other things. So I will say actually, a majority of our nursing students actually also work not necessarily on campus, but a lot of them do have, part-time jobs. And also we're Division II. So we get a lot of student athletes who, again, Division II takes up a lot of time. For example, our basketball team played Berkeley, which is Division I, but because of the sort of contracts and partnerships we have, Division II schools like us play a lot of Division I as well. So whether you're an athlete or working, there's time for nursing and for your other, your other passions and for your life.
Awesome. We do have one more question. For students who graduate from the Dominican nursing program, what is like the employment rate, or maybe if you kind of know, chances of getting a nursing job, which, it's very competitive, and
Yeah.
especially in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have those numbers. Anecdotally, I can tell you that a lot of our students do find jobs either after they graduate, but honestly, the students I know, especially the ones that work in our ambassador group, which are sort of our top students, a lot of them I see them in December, and then I don't see them again until May when they come and graduate because they've already started working through these internships, right? So you'll get this internship, you'll get a preceptorship. If you do well, they'll keep you there. They'll say, hey, as soon as you graduate, you come back. I unfortunately don't have the numbers, but again, just I see that a lot of our students, a lot of the students I work with, get jobs immediately after they graduate, or they already have it lined up before they graduate.
That's amazing. Great.
Yeah.
We do have one more question. The GPAs that you gave for kind of the minimum, I think you said a 3.5 is what students have. Is that a weighted GPA or unweighted
It is
GPA?
weighted.
Weighted.
Mhm,
Awesome.
mhm. And
Um,
I don't know how much time I have, but I just wanted to show these resources, right? So if you want to come and speak to me in person, we do campus tours where you can visit the campus, do a tour. Our student ambassadors lead it. They're nursing students many of times, so feel free to ask them questions while you're on the tour. They'll show you the sim labs, all the classrooms that are sort of associated with nursing, the science health room, if you ever want to just get a real good look and tour of our school. So in-person appointments, Zoom appointments, phone appointments. We do some open houses on Saturdays. So if you're not available Monday through Friday, you can still come and check out the dorms, check out the science facilities, the nursing facilities. All of that are usually available on Saturdays coming up in March and April.
awesome, Carlos. That's awesome that students can go and connect with some of the admission officers over there and get their questions answered. Um, I have one last question,
Sure,
maybe
sure,
because we're
sure.
getting we're coming close to time.
Okay.
Do students stay on campus or do some commute?
So good question. So we have I'll give you the undergraduate number because we do take graduate students. And for example, we also take students who are interested in their master's and PhD. But if we're talking about just undergrad students going for your first degree, we have about 1,200, and about 450 to 500 live on campus. The rest live in the surrounding area, so they commute. So technically, your first year, you have to live on campus. However, there's a waiver. So if you live 10 miles from campus and you don't want to spend the additional $14,000, then you sign the waiver and now you don't have to live on campus. It's obviously recommended. It's what we would hope that you do, but you don't have to. If you live close enough and it doesn't seem worth it, you live at home, totally fine. Technically, most of our students do commute, but we do sort of fill out every year. So if you're interested, you can let us know. We can sort of start that process. Most students, for the most part, are going to either do double or triples. Because we have so many students in our housing, it's not always a single. So chances are you're going to have at least one roommate, sometimes two.
Is there for specifically the nursing students, to what extent are those students allowed to commute? Or when would it be an appropriate time for them to commute, within those 4 years?
So technically, again, nursing students, for example, we're in San Rafael. So let's say you live in, I guess, even Berkeley, which is still kind of a drive. Even as a nursing student, you are allowed to commute. The big thing with nursing is eventually you have to go to internships and clinicals depending on where you're placed. So transportation does become a big factor. But even a freshman year, as a nursing student, you don't have to live on campus. You do have to obviously go to your classes and go to your labs and things like that. But for the most part, that won't really affect placement or anything like that. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, it did.
Perfect.
Um, any any final thoughts, Carlos, from you around how should students decide if they wanted to do, for example, a direct entry program?
So what was that? Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, a direct entry program is really different from a non-direct entry program.
Yes.
Any suggestions about how a student can think a little bit about which one should I do?
So for me, I think because direct entry, again, at least for us, it's free. So it's worth a shot to just apply. I understand. I will say pre-nursing can help, right? Because I mean, you're taking courses, prerequisites, and you're getting an idea if nursing is for you. But again, for me, it's you might go to a school that you really want to, but only for nursing, and then for some reason or another, you don't get in, and now you're at a school doing biology or psychology or something else, which is still a good degree, but it's not what you wanted. So at least with us, we let you know before you get accepted. Hey, you didn't make it, or hey, you're into this program. It's yours. Pass your classes, and there's no problem. And when I mean pass your classes, those nursing courses I mentioned, I'll go back if it lets me real fast. C plus. So nursing, we need C's. If you get a C minus in English, that's okay. A C minus in or a C in something like artistic creative expression, no problem. But from nursing, all these, at least the C plus. And we would hope, of course, higher.
Any last words, Mary, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, if you guys have, this was a great discussion, and I'm sure maybe some people have more questions after it, and that's totally normal. So, and fine. And if you have more questions after this presentation, please come and talk to your college and career counselor at your high school or your advisor, and we're here to help and take you through this journey. But I think this was a great start to start thinking about this amazing pathway. So I want to thank Carlos and Melinda for being here and spending this time with us. This webinar was recorded and it will be posted on your respective high school's site. And that's all I can think of. Laura, how about you?
That's it. All right. Thanks, everyone. Come see if we can support Go Nursing. Yay!
Yes.
Good night,
Bye-bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Carlos.